When I moved down to New Orleans, right, and I guess we'll wrap up with this, is a change of scenery and a change of pace. It can be a good thing for people. I still am a high school junior high school dropout. I spent majority of my teenage years, my juvenile life in juvenile facilities, detention centers, group homes. Um, if you would have asked anyone about me back home, who I grew up with, people, my peers, teachers, probation officers, court officials, all of them would have probably told you the same thing, which was he's going nowhere fast. He'll end up dead or in jail. And no positive praise or anything, right? So I get down here to New Orleans where I don't know anybody. I don't know this culture, this way of life. The New Orleanians are, man, they're something different. Love them to death, but they like, how you say, you if you can make it here, New York, or whatever the city may be, you can make it anywhere. Nah, bro, New Orleans is a little different. But like I tell some of the people that I've kind of gotten to know over the years these stories, and they're in complete disbelief. They don't believe that I, was a juvenile delinquent, long rap sheet, uh, middle school dropout. Like they don't believe any of that stuff, and I like it that way because I was able to get my life together without anyone knowing my past or being able to hold shit that I've done in the past over my head. So since I've been down here, I mean, I've become as I talk about often, a IT professional, for a while, a professional music tracking engineer. I I've done a whole lot of shit that I think that if I would have stayed back in the DC area, I would not have been able to do, and I probably more than likely would have been dead or in jail just because I was still in the same environment that I grew up in that I guess normalized a lot of the things that I was doing as far as the people, the places, and the shit to do, man. So moving to New Orleans, as much as I hate it and as much as I hate the South and I talk shit about it, like no bullshit, it saved my life. I mean, shit, started boxing. Like, I mean, we've always boxed, but started boxing for real down here. Stopped drinking. Don't do any drugs. Don't do any I don't engage in risky behavior. I basically, at this point in my life, I go to work. I used to go to the gym often. I don't do that as much these days. And I go home. That's it. Man, back home, I would have never had this simple of a life. So when you moved to Charlotte, did you notice a lot of the same things? I know you kind of reluctantly moved there, but is it fair to say that you being down there and being removed from the environment that you came up with, and I know you can tie a lot of your mental health issues to the area, as you say, Route One, where you used to work as a firefighter EMT. Do you think moving to Charlotte, North Carolina changed your life in a positive way other than, what you just mentioned?
Big time. Well, first I gotta say, my wife, she's the best thing that ever happened to me because before I met her, I was just kind of just I was wandering aimlessly. I had money, I was on Social Security, I had money. And before I was on Social Security, I had money in the fire department. I had my babies, my two kids, but you know, you still get a lot of time by yourself. And before I met my wife, I was doing strange shit. Um, and I kind of started to get to that point when you realize you're tired of it. And I think for me, the thing that really made me get tired of my circumstances was, I never drank alcohol, but I used to try different things here and there, whether it be the pills or things like that. And I had a bad reaction once, and that's I called Dan talking about my rosaries, and he was just like, "This nigga tripping." And, that was right before I met my wife, and then I ended up meeting my wife, and, I stopped doing all that other BS. I stopped hanging around the same crowd, and, I kinda try started to get things back in order. I got my money back in order, my lawsuits and all started to take back off again, and, I ended up moving here to Charlotte, and um, I feel like I've become docile since I moved here, and that's not a bad thing. I'm saying that in terms of I'm not so high strung anymore. Got
Right.
more kids, and you kind of have a greater appreciation for what's the most important. And you look back and you say, that shit I was doing, like Dan said, if I would have kept doing that stuff, I probably would be dead by now, or at minimum locked up because they lock your ass up back at home in Alexandria or PG County or in DC. They lock you up quickly.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, it's been it's yeah, I noticed something similar too. Change of pace, change of surroundings, and you kind of can rebuild your life, hang out with better people, associate with better people, and start from scratch if you need to.
Yeah, man. I know the guys that, and I guess in closing, the guys that we grew up with, right? Majority of them, and this is not an exaggeration, majority of them are dead or in jail. And even to this day, I mean, I've been gone from DC for 16 years now, 17 years, 16 years. Yeah, 16
It's been a
years.
long time.
Um, I look, I still get like Facebook, I was browse Facebook from time to time, and I see so and so died, so and so died, so and so died, and a lot of them are murders, man. Like, you look at it and say, "Damn, that could have been me," because I used to run with so and so. So it's like it's a breath of fresh air, and I don't surround myself with the same types of people. Like, the people we hung with were straight up out the hood, out the gutter. We had nothing. We had limited resources. We had a lot of us single parent households. Parents were on drugs. Man, it was rough. But that's the type of people, even outside of our neighborhoods, we would associate ourselves with. Is the same crowd of people. They're from another hood, but they have, single parent households, they're financially disadvantaged, poor educations, and I got down here and I'm like, fuck that. I'm not surrounding myself with these types of people anymore. I, I took I take a very conservative approach as far as who I decide to kind of hang out around, get to know or whatever. Like, there's no way. They get on these rappers and these actors and all these other successful people for not coming back to the hood, after they've made it. Fuck that. I haven't made it and I still don't want to go back to the hood, and I don't associate with anybody from the hood or even in hood adjacent. Like, I just don't do that. So it's like I've surrounded myself with more professionals, lawyers, nurses, doctors, musicians, things that people who may have come from that, but they're not in the hood anymore, because it's my belief, and it might be an unpopular opinion, is that hood niggas will bring you down no matter what. Like, you can be the one positive brother, and you hang around niggas from the hood long enough, they will bring you down and probably rob you along the way. So, I'm like, fuck that. I'm not surrounding myself with these types of people anymore. I'm not surrounding myself with the type of person that I was. I'm surrounding myself with the type of person who I'd want to be. And they say there's an old saying is if you're the smartest one in the room, you're in the wrong room. And that's kind of how I look at shit now, man. Like, fuck niggas, man. Like from the hood or whatever. Of course, there's always that one person that you got to stay somewhat connected with in case, some shit go down and you need to call some niggas from the hood. But aside from that, man, fuck that shit, man. How about you in Charlotte? Like, the people that you have surrounded yourself with.
I think anybody who feels as though that your philosophy is wrong is the person that you don't want to be hanging around. Look, I mean, the thing is this, right? Everybody says, "Oh, but when you make this, you want to be in the hood no more." Well, yeah, because by and large, the hood is a negative place to be, right? The people from the hood who are worth still being around you, whether they stay in the hood still or not, are those who want to get out of there, are those who don't subscribe to mediocrity and just want to sit around getting high, breaking the law all day. It's
Mhm.
not necessarily because I can see the messages coming and the criticism coming. It's not necessarily I don't want to be around people who live in this environment. I mean, who live in this place. No, it's about the mindset that
Right.
affects many people that live in those places. I mean, we've been in those places. We either lived in those places or hung out in those places. And frankly, you have a lot to lose being in those places. I mean, even just, I don't know if people remember this. Well, people from Rahway will know. You would get you can get in trouble or arrested or a ticket from the cops if you just enter a certain neighborhood and you can't justify why you're there.
Mhm.
They do that in DC. They did that in Alexandria. If they knew you didn't live in Delray, they asked you for your ID. If they said what business you got around here and you couldn't verify anything, they'd send your ass away.
Yeah.
And if you were on probation, they'd take you in. And that's for a reason. That's because it's a lot of things that go on that, is just not really conducive to success.
Yeah.
So I agree with you, Dan.